and welcome to the Financial Report. Hong Kong shares ended lower as profit-taking and concerns about China's economy offset optimism about the US Federal Reserve's stimulus program. The Hang Seng Index lost 26 points to finish at 21,345. Turnover stood at $45 billion. Bernanke told the US Congress yesterday that the stimulus program is by no means on a preset course and could be reduced or expanded depending on economic conditions. Let's take a look at some of today's most active stocks. The CCB is up 3 cents. The ICBC has lost 1 cent. China Mobile has lost 15 cents. And China Xinhua is 55 cents up. Hong Kong dollar exchange rates is 7.75 to the US dollar, 11.79 to the sterling. It's 7.74 to 100 Japanese yen, 10.16 to the euro, and 100 Hong Kong dollars is 79 RMB. The London FTSE is 19 points up, and the London gold is trading at 1,281 US dollars an ounce. The Frankfurt DAX has lost 6 points, and in Paris, the CAC is trading 3 points up. That's the finance for Thursday night. Join us for the main news after the break.
Coming up, main news and weather report. Mourinho returns, ready for revival. Coming to Malaysia, the war is about to break out.
Victor Moses take a bow. Hazard, what a goal!
Malaysia 11 versus Chelsea, Sunday night at 9:30. Watch the live show on your phone. Soccer Fever, live on ATV home channel.
The CIA was completely wrong.
He was the sort of man you hardly know. Even his wife and the KGB failed in realizing his betrayal. People believe that he provoked the downfall of the Soviet Union. So is he a betrayer or a legendary hero? Documentary World, The Farewell File, concludes tonight at 9. Be cool. Keep updated with the international music scene. Warner Music Power Station, Thursday night at 10.
記住啦，為咗乘客嘅安全，如果公共小巴上邊裝咗安全帶咧，乘客就要佩戴。如果冇佩戴嘅話，乘客嘅最高刑罰係罰款5000蚊，同埋入獄3個月㗎。
Reports from the heart of Berlin. Take a closer look at the development in one of the most powerful countries in Europe. How much do you know about Germany? Check in current news. People and Politics, Friday night at 8.
Every day we learn. From him. From her. From someone we barely know. But what does it mean to you and me? Find out the answers on Global 3000, tonight at 8.
Good evening. You're watching the news at 7:30 on ATV. I'm Edna.
And I'm Belinda Lloyd. Here's a look at tonight's headlines.
Property developer Ronnie Chan launches unprecedented attack on Financial Secretary on what he calls ridiculous policies.
Second case of Japanese encephalitis in 3 days sparks fears of outbreak in 18July2013.
Outgoing US Consul General questions Hong Kong's autonomy over Edward Snowden affair and rejects hypocrisy concerns. A leading property developer has launched an unprecedented attack on Financial Secretary John Tsang over his spending policies.
Hang Lung Property Chairman Ronnie Chan ridiculed Tsang for hoarding taxpayers' money and then handing out cash to keep everyone happy.
And he refused to take back his words after calling Tsang a big sinner for his perceived failures. Ronnie Chan was in fighting form a day after Financial Secretary John Tsang hit back at the Han Lung property chief for calling him a big sinner. The developer refused to take back his insult, insisting he was justified in criticizing Tsang and reiterating that someone in his position who sits on massive fiscal reserves instead of spending the money where it's needed deserves to be called a big sinner. He then launched into a scathing attack on the government's financial policies, singling out Tsang's budget handout of $6,000 for every Hong Kong permanent resident in 2011.
To hand out cash is not a wise thing, especially when it's handed out indiscriminately. Mr. Li Ka-shing got $6,000. I got $6,000. I happened to give it away, and I'm sure many other people did the same. But just think about it. Is it a good policy when Mr. Li Ka-shing and Mr. Li Shaoqi should all be receiving $6,000? It is ridiculous.
Chan said the government has already set a bad precedent with such a populist measure.
So once you start giving, there's the expectation to get cash year after year. So I know that some members of the government say, well, we have to give. Why? Because you've already started to give. That shows you that we are already heading down the socialistic path of Western Europe. Look at Western Europe today. They are in terrible financial condition for that precise reason.
He acknowledged the government's policy of being prudent with its finances, but complained that Tsang was not spending wisely.
Let's see where are the needs and then decide how much. And I'm sure Hong Kong leaders, including those in the government as well as in the legislature, will be able to then look at those numbers and say, right, what should be best for Hong Kong's economic future, and so how much we should spend.
Chan also called on people not to overreact to his remarks, claiming he won't raise his concerns with Beijing because he doesn't know many people there and such issues are internal matters for Hong Kong. He said he hasn't spoken about the problems to Leung Chun-ying, despite being a strong supporter of the chief executive during his election campaign. The row prompted Leung to come out yesterday and deny speculation that he and Tsang are not getting along. It's widely understood that Tsang was not Leung's first choice for financial secretary, and he was asked to stay on because Beijing wanted stability and continuity. Tsang has been widely off the mark with his budget forecasts, predicting deficits every year, only to report a massive surplus. He's been called a miser many times, and this unprecedented attack by a leading property developer has got the rumor mills going.
The government has vowed to step up efforts to eliminate mosquito breeding grounds to combat Japanese encephalitis after the second case in 3 days.
But the Centre for Health Protection said an outbreak of the potentially deadly disease in the city is unlikely. Raymond Young reports.
Fears of an outbreak of Japanese encephalitis are mounting after a 52-year-old man was today confirmed to have contracted the mosquito-borne disease. He was said to be in a critical condition in Tuen Mun Hospital. It's the second infection in a week. A 59-year-old man was found to have the potentially fatal disease on Tuesday. The two men, who both live in 18July2013, are the first two patients this year. Centre for Health Protection Controller Leung Ting-hung vowed to step up efforts to eliminate the breeding grounds of the Culex mosquito, the main transmitter of the disease.
A series of mosquito control measures have been introduced or have been implemented in the past several months. We will further step up those mosquito control measures, particularly around the 18July2013 areas, where coolest mosquito has been found near the patient's home.
He also quashed fears about an imminent outbreak.
If we can control mosquito adequately, we don't expect a large-scale transmission in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, we have regular mosquito control activities under the supervision of the steering committee chaired by our permanent secretary.
Leung said the public can also help fight the disease.
The input, the participation of our residents nearby is also important. They should look out for stagnant water under their potted plant. They should avoid going outdoors after dark, as the curious mosquito like to bite in the late evening until and overnight.
He warns that pigs and wild birds could become potential carriers if they are bitten by mosquitoes. Raymond Yang, ATV News.
Outgoing U.S. Consul General Stephen Young has warned that Hong Kong's handling of whistleblower Edward Snowden has put the one country, two systems principle in danger.
Young also rejected concerns about American hypocrisy and made it clear there would be no apology over revelations that his government hacked into Hong Kong computers.
With his stint in Hong Kong ending next week, outgoing U.S. Consul General Stephen Young met the local press for one last time. In his swan song, Young accused the Hong Kong government of damaging ties with his country by failing to deport U.S. whistleblower Edward Snowden when he was still in the SAR. Young also warned that the government's actions, which he is convinced were dictated by Beijing, may have harmed Hong Kong's high degree of autonomy.
We have enjoyed remarkably good cooperation with Hong Kong, and we want to see that continue. And that's where I worried that the management of the Snowden case shook the confidence of people that we had a ready partner on all this. And I have to say, there was a China factor. There's no way around it. Exactly what it was may be harder to pinpoint, but there's no question in my government's mind, from the president on down, that China also let us down in the way they were unwilling to help see the right thing done by Hong Kong. That's where the one country and the two systems smushed together in a very interesting way.
Young was also quizzed on why the U.S. government has remained silent on Hong Kong's requests for more information regarding Snowden's allegations that the U.S. hacked into computer networks in the city.
Mr. Snowden's made a lot of allegations here and in Moscow, and many of them seem to be rather self-serving to gain sympathy for him in the places that he's been working. My government will address queries from our Hong Kong colleagues on these issues in its own time and manner.
The American diplomat was asked how he could talk about the U.S. losing trust in Hong Kong when many in this city have lost trust in his government because it's been hacking into